Great, thank you. Hi, I'm Ellen Wood. I lead the AI programme at Versus Arthritis, supporting 18.8 million people in the UK with arthritis and MSK conditions. And I'm also the Chief Innovation Officer at Elbridge AI, which provides the bridge between vision and reality for AI programmes. We provide a strategic AI consultancy for projects across natural language processing, computer vision, machine learning, and agile delivery methods. I also lead the Women in Tech initiative at Cranfield University, and I'm on the advisory board for data science at the new MKU. So assistive technology is what I'm going to be talking about today. This is the technical name for devices and gadgets that are designed to help people living with memory issues, cognitive problems, or sensory impairment to carry out daily tasks and live a more self-sufficient life. For people who are cognitively or physically impaired or suffer from chronic illnesses, many day-to-day tasks we take for granted can become extremely difficult. Many people feel less independent in their homes, and although the tech sector is growing dramatically, many apps and devices are designed for the general population. So today I'm going to explore the extent that tech can improve independence and well-being for assistive smart homes. With assistive smart homes, highlight some of the challenges we face in designing AI technology for these consumers, and provide some creative solutions, and then explore the future. So starting with how smart homes can make a difference, from easing loneliness to, bear with me, from easing loneliness to reminding people of appointments and medication, and smart appliances which take the effort and pain out of improving our environment. There are many ways that smart homes can make a significant difference to people's lives. The ability to monitor and record patterns of behaviour can contribute significantly to comprehensive and proactive healthcare management. Whether you're newly diagnosed, managing a lifelong condition, or looking to support family, it's important for many people to maintain their independence whilst managing their mental and physical well-being. Let's start with smart speakers such as Amazon's Echo or Google's Assistant. The core technology underlying these is natural language processing, meaning they can interpret and understand when someone speaks to them in a natural way. If you say you are lonely to your Alexa, they will respond, "I'm sorry you are feeling that way. Sometimes talking to a friend, listening to music, or even taking a walk can help. I hope you feel better soon." If you tell it you're depressed, it will tell you you're not alone and that there are people who can help, a friend or your GP, and it will give you the number of the Samaritans. On a typical day, 1 in 8 people with disabilities have under half an hour interaction with someone else, and 85% of 18 to 34-year-olds people with disabilities report feeling lonely. However, 1 in 10 people in the UK own a smart speaker, and the overall market for these devices has increased by about 6% this year compared to 2019. There are various studies that show that smart speakers can provide companionship and improve loneliness, and they're widely used in residential care to provide companionship. Some conditions, such as fibromyalgia, can cause fatigue. These can be linked to difficulty to think clearly or remember things properly, sometimes called fibro fog or brain fog. This can be problematic when it comes to remembering appointments or medication, so reminders from smart devices can be extremely helpful. Smart speakers can integrate with tunable lighting, heating, and smart appliances to manage your environment via your mobile app or voice, which is particularly useful for people confined to their beds. With a simple voice command, you can save yourself the energy and pain by dimming or turning lights on and off, adjusting the thermostat, boiling the kettle, or setting your coffee machine to percolate ahead of time, or even manage the contents of your fridge and order your groceries from the comfort of your bed or sofa. Smoke, fire, carbon monoxide, and other alarms could also be fed into this system to provide emergency alerts to monitoring centres and family. Combining insights from smart heating, ovens, vacuum cleaners, fridges, and lawn mowers can help carers and loved ones monitor family. Using a range of bed and floor pressure sensors and door sensors combined with appliance sensors on the kettle, fridge, microwave, cupboards, TV, etc., a baseline pattern of behaviour can be determined for future reference. For example, if your loved one's normal routine involves getting out of bed at 6 a.m., putting the kettle on at 7 a.m. and switching the TV off at 9:30 p.m., it's easy to start noticing unusual changes and check in with a phone call. For situations like the front door being left open longer than usual, you might ask your neighbour to pop around and check on them. So if your parents have memory problems or worry about their winter heating bill, connecting these devices can give you a chance to intervene. Whether you decide to switch on the heating for them, order their groceries, or arrange for a gardener to keep the lawn neat and tidy. These stats from Public Health England about the health of the working population start to show the scale in terms of people who could be empowered by smart home technology. Empowered, not powered. We're not powering people yet. Research has shown that people with disabilities who live in housing that meets their accessibility needs tend to feel safer and report social contact and improvements in their health and well-being. By contrast, inappropriate homes are 4 times more likely to result in people with disabilities being unemployed or not seeking work, and depression is 4 times more likely among people with persistent pain. Looking at the wider economy, combined costs from worklessness and sickness absence amount to approximately £100 billion annually. In its annual assessment of healthcare and social care in England, the Care Quality Commission said, too many people find it hard to even get appointments, but the lack of access is especially worrying when it affects people who are less able to speak up for themselves. Waiting times for treatments in hospitals are continuing to increase. In all sectors, there is pressure on the availability of services to maintain people's health and well-being. This poignant quote by Niall Dixon, Chief Executive of the NHS Confederation, drives home the strong economic and social case for action. But there are ethical and accessibility issues to consider with all of these products. For example, should a device whose primary purpose is to provide us with products to collect data about our shopping habits and serve us with content based on these have access to our health data? Is it ethical for that device to say, you said you were depressed, so here are some books to help with depression? When your central heating thermostat knows your phone number, your TV knows what you like to watch, and hackers can exploit software and install spyware in your home through a light bulb security flaw, it's crucial we start taking smart home privacy issues more seriously. They know when you're not in the house, which is a concern when this can be intercepted. It's an invasion of privacy also to monitor or video someone at home without their knowledge or consent, but our devices are programmed to always be listening or recording us. Do you tell guests in your home about your smart devices? It's essential for technology providers to ensure customers know where they stand and when putting systems in place, whether for their own privacy or for others. It's important to educate people on how data is used and shared, especially when it comes to medical and sensitive data. How do you put controls in place so trusted healthcare providers can access this information, or family and friends of those suffering with dementia? Earlier this year, Amazon-owned Ring was put in the spotlight after sharing data with more than 900 police departments, as well as Facebook and Google. Christine has already covered a lot of the bias that we see in data sets. Many of the algorithms used for conversational AI and facial recognition today rely heavily on machine learning models, which require significant training. Unfortunately, the training process results in biases in these technologies. For example, we all roughly know how to naturally converse with one another. This is mostly subconscious and only really noticeable if an interaction skews from what most of us consider normal. In the majority of cases, these are minor differences, such as someone speaking a little too close or interrupting more than usual. However, more significant conversational differences start to occur when parts of the brain begin to decline in performance. When it comes to people with speech impairments, such as dementia or stroke patients, a number of conversational variables change compared to the general population, such as utterance length, frequency of filler words, fluidity, rhythm of speech, and pause frequency. And models that have not been trained to cater for this have a lower accuracy response rate and can cause a distressing experience. The quality and quantity of available datasets are poorer when it comes to the elderly or those with accessibility challenges. Students at Heriot-Watt University built Isaac to answer questions in the kitchen through voice to support visually impaired people. Users can ask what objects are, whether an object is there, what it says, what color it is, and roughly where the item is. Early on, though, they realized that existing models were based on data sets with high quality, focused images and would struggle to identify items taken by visually impaired people which were unfocused or not completely capturing the item. There is a huge diversity gap in the tech sector. How do you design for something in an area you don't understand? And this filters through into data sets. Most tech teams and data sets consist of white males, so when it comes to analyzing if a photo is a white man, the software is 99% right. But the darker the skin and the more you introduce females, the more errors arise. And this can be up to 35% when identifying a darker skinned woman in images. In the vast majority of cases, smart tech products are still being designed and built for the mass market. As such, the chances are high that the text might be too small for a visually impaired person, for example, or the buttons too fidgety for someone with manual dexterity problems. Brands such as Google, Amazon, Apple, and Samsung are leading the way in terms of inclusive design. iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch all include accessibility features as standard, and screen readers can be found across the whole Amazon product suite. So having a strong user-centered culture is important and imperative, to be honest, to the success of smart home technologies. This quote on the screen here demonstrates the need for testing and improving usability throughout a product lifecycle. Putting in place technical support for all customers is also a must. So let's explore some of the creative solutions that empower people most in need. DoorPie Plus. Smart home technology is at the heart of DoorPie Plus, a prototype home monitoring system designed for people with dementia and vulnerable adults. DoorPie Plus is the brainchild of Freddie Howells, pictured on the far right, inspired by his desire to help his great aunt feel more secure at home. Using a Raspberry Pi microcomputer, a passive infrared motion sensor attached to the individual's front door detects motion and triggers the camera to take a picture of the visitor. This image is then checked against a database of known faces. If the face is recognized, the visitor is prompted to scan their ID tag for two-factor authentication. If the face and ID match, the door is opened. BrightCare combines ultra-precision movement beacons with a wearable and app to support vulnerable people in assisted living and ensures faster intervention in an emergency. With real-time alerts for falls, irregular health incidents, and other anomalies, carers can identify precisely where someone has fallen and get to them faster. I'm just going to give you a quick clip of LEQ, which is a great example of a smart home companion.
Seems like you've got something new going on here with this device. What is it?
LEQ, I'd like to introduce my friend Luther.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you too, I think.
LEQ, would you play us some music?
I'd be delighted to play your favorite music, playing jazz. In A1, and a 2, and a 3, let's go.
All you have to do is ask.
You're always surprising me.
As these devices become part of our everyday lives, it's essential that these systems become and remain explainable, and our data, especially health data, remains secure. Artificial intelligence offers a myriad of exciting opportunities, and if we carefully balance the power of AI with human-focused, inclusive design, we can create a better world. We're at a tipping point, and now is the time to consider the future we want to be part of. At the World Economic Forum this year, world leaders recognized that many organizations continue to chase economic reward over humanity and suggested 5 beacons of hope for a better future that I'd like to share with you. The first is profit with purpose. Consumers are demanding it and many businesses are responding, with sustainability-minded brands winning market share. For example, certified B Corps are a new kind of business that balances purpose with profit. They're legally required to consider the impact of their decisions on their workers, customers, suppliers, community, and the environment. This is a community of leaders driving a global movement of people using businesses as a force for good. The second beacon for hope is the fifth industrial revolution. The fifth industrial revolution asks the question, how can you make the world better rather than just more efficient or more productive? The fourth and fifth industrial revolutions will work in parallel, with the fifth industrial revolution defining the ethics and impact of the technology developed in the fourth. The third beacon of hope is the increasing prominence of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs provide history's first universal matrix for achieving a flourishing future. Adopted by the heads of governments from 193 UN member states, the SDG framework addresses the key physical facets of life in our global village: social, environmental, and economic. The fourth beacon of hope is about the empowerment of women and girls worldwide and closing the gender gap, which is essential when it comes to fourth industrial revolution technologies, where the impact of bias in data and design can have fatal and catastrophic consequences. The fifth beacon of hope is that these kinds of cross-sector SDG-aligned movements are going global and becoming increasingly democratized. So some key takeaways to leave you with. Users must be at the heart of design, whether building from scratch or using software as a service. Use design thinking to approach problem solving. Run user focus groups and validate both your value proposition and the product. Constantly optimize after your launch, both the hardware and the software. Approach bias with your eyes open. Everyone has bias and the majority of it is unconscious. Listen, explore, and learn with your audiences. Increase diversity in your teams to design for all of your customers. Consider affordability and accessibility. We know there's already an inequality of tech. People who most need your support may not be able to afford or use it. And keep innovating. COVID-19 has driven huge digital transformation. Charities, the NHS, and other healthcare providers at all levels are reconsidering how they deliver services without compromising the experience and support but using technology. We need to explore and innovate, create new opportunities ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen. That was, yeah, brilliant. Really interesting. Just wondered from local authorities, local councils, are they starting to talk to you or are you aware of anyone starting to adopt this kind of tech in care homes, or I know the big prevention strategy is trying to keep people in their own homes. Are you aware of them looking to adopt this kind of tech?
Yeah, so I have seen, when I was kind of doing a little bit of research into kind of how widely it's being used, there's a lot of councils up north and in Scotland who are using voice technology within care homes, residential homes. In terms of smart homes, I would probably say, so my husband works at Bright Care, which is based in Milton Keynes, so local company to you, and they're getting interest from quite a wide variety of organisations and different countries as well. So yeah, I think councils are starting to look at it. I think it's actually more affordable than you think. Some of it, like smart speakers, start from about £20, smart plugs start from £10, home security systems start from £40. So these aren't massively expensive systems anymore.
Okay, great, thank you. John made the point around builders, developers adopting this kind of tech when they're building new homes. It would have to be, the technology would have to be integrated into Wi-Fi as opposed to like hardwired in, because the hardwired in would just have such a short life cycle. So do you see a lot of this tech being Wi-Fi enabled?
Yeah, I think it has to work with Wi-Fi. A lot of the smart devices won't work without Wi-Fi. I think so. I was doing a few talks with Barclays around smart homes as well, and the question of Wi-Fi came up quite a lot. And I think as the 5G network starts kind of going across the country, actually that will improve the availability of services. And certainly when you're looking at edge computing and you know, really looking at where this can make a difference to emergency services or medical, you know, you're going to need 5G to make sure you've got the latency.
And are you seeing like new developments of homes starting to incorporate this tech from the ground up?
So there are, and there are even smart cities being built as we speak that kind of are starting to incorporate, if not the actual hardware itself, but the kind of the approaches or the way that you kind of have to look at your whole system so that these technologies are going to embed within the home. Even like Malta is actually looking at a smart island approach. So even whole countries are starting to look at how connected devices and connected communities, because that's the other thing, is it's all very well having it in your house, but to be as efficient and productive and support the environment, etc., as you can, you need to be looking at the wider economy, the wider climate, the wider community.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ellen. I think we'll probably we'll finish it there. But again, we've recorded this session, so anyone who wants to watch this again can look at YouTube next week on the Digital Northampton channel. Thanks very much, Alan. Really appreciate your time today.